All right. Your exam is tomorrow. We'll cover 16.1 through 16.4, which 16.1 was ratios, 16.2 is rates, 16.3 is distance, time, and speed problems. Then 16.4 is what we just graded, and that is proportions. Okay, so those are the four things that it will cover. On your distance, rate, and time, you will have all the formulas on the test, so you won't have to have those memorized. Just a matter of manipulating them. But let's start with 16.1, since that was the furthest thing away. 16.1, remember, a ratio is expressed as a fraction, expressed as a improper or proper fraction in lowest terms. Okay, so for example, if I had the ratio of 15 over 18, okay, I had the ratio of 15 over 18, what I have to do to that is I just have to reduce it, okay? What is a common factor between 15 and 18? 3? It's what now? 3. Okay, so we take 3 and divide it into the top and bottom. 3 into 15, 3 into 18. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 goes into 18 6 times. And so your answer is 5 over 6. Okay, well, that's fairly easy. It's already a fraction. Didn't really have to do a whole lot. Okay, what if we have a problem such as this, where we have 5 minutes to 1 hour? 5 minutes to 1 hour. Okay, well, 5 minutes to 1 hour, we have to change hours to minutes. Okay, you have to have them in the same unit of measurement. Okay. So we're going to convert 1 hour to minutes. Okay. So we have 5 minutes, and how many minutes are in an hour? 60. So in 1 hour there would be 60 minutes. So we're going to put 60 minutes here. 5 minutes to 60 minutes. Now we must reduce. What is common between 5 and 60? What's the common factor between 5 and 60? 5, yeah. 5 goes into 5 how many times? 1 time. 5 goes into 60. 12 times. So it'd be 1/12. Okay? Don't have to have the minutes. Once you put them in the same unit of measurement, you don't have to include that. I wouldn't count it wrong if you put, 1 minute over 12 minutes, but you don't have to do that. Okay? So let's say we had 50 to 17. And I want you to express that ratio as an improper or proper fraction. Okay? What would we do there? How would I do that? Remember, the word 2 is just the fraction bar. So all I have to do is 50 over 17. Now, is there any common factors between 50 and 17? Nope, there's not. So that would be your answer. Okay? So that's the ratio part. You're basically just taking fractions and reducing them. Okay, we're just, instead of calling it a fraction, we're calling it a ratio. Okay, now 16.2. Rates. Okay, remember that rates are expressed as a mixed number, whole number, decimal number, or proper fraction. And they must have a label. Okay? So, I had this problem right here, 40 miles in 8 hours. And I want to know the unit rate. So what do I have to do to find the unit rate? Joy. 40 over 8. Then what do I do? Reduce. Okay, so what do I reduce by? Okay, 8 goes into both of them. 8 goes into 40. 5 times 8 into 8. 1 time. So that's 5 miles per hour. Okay, rates we can express as whole numbers. So 5 miles per hour would be acceptable. Okay. And really, to find the unit rate, what you're doing is you're just dividing the bottom number into the top number. Okay, that's all you're doing on any of the rate problems. Okay, so for example, if I had $8 for 5 gallons. $8 for 5 gallons. Okay, and I wanted to find out then what 1 gallon cost. So I had 8 over 5, which means 5 into 8. 5 goes into 8 one time, be 5, remainder 3. Bring down my 0. 5 into 30 goes 6 times, be 30, remainder 0. So $1.60 per gallon. Okay, and you will notice on both of those that we have our label. If you don't have the label, it will be wrong. Okay, I want you to do this one on your own. 20 pillows for $5. Who has an answer? Joy, what'd you get? Yes. 4 pillows for $1. Okay. And all we did there is we simply divided the 5 into the 20. 5 goes in 24 times, be a remainder of 0. Okay, so we just took this and divided it into that. Okay. Okay, try this one. 16 trains in 2 hours. 16 trains in 2 hours. What did you get, Noah? 8 trains per hour. Yes, 8 trains per hour. So 8 trains per hour. Remember, we can use the fraction bar for the word per. Okay, and we just, once again, simply divided 2 into 16. Okay? 2 goes into 16 8 times. All right, now a little different one. X number of books over 5 shelves is equal to 9 books on 1 shelf. Okay, so they're saying if I have 9 books per shelf and I have 5 shelves, how many books do I have? What would I do there? In other words, what you want to look at is this right here. You want to take all the words out and just say I have 9 over 1 equals X over 5. Okay, and so what did I do to 1 to make it 5? Multiplied it by 5. So I got to do the same thing to the 9. So 9 times 5? 45. So X is equal to 45 books. And that would be your answer. So if we had this, $64 racers on 8 teams, and I want to know the X number of racers on 1 team. Either one. So there's 64 racers on 8 teams, so how many does that make on 1 team? Providing they have the same amount on each team, which that's what they're saying, they're equal. Okay, if I have 64 racers on 8 teams, then how many racers do I have on 1 team? Michael? 8. That is correct. So X is equal to 8. Okay, once again, if you just look at it from a proportion standpoint, okay, we say, what did we do to 8 to make it 1? Well, you divide it by 8. So I have to do the same thing to the top for them to be equal. So 8 into 64 goes 8 times. That's where we get X is equal to 8. You can put racers, you don't have to put racers. Okay, would accept either one. All right, now that gets us to 16.3. 16.3 was distance, speed, and time. Okay, with our formulas being distance is equal to speed times time, speed being equal to distance divided by time, and T is equal to distance over speed. Those are the 3 formulas. Like I said, those formulas will be on the exam, so you don't have to have them memorized. Okay, you just have to be able to plug in the information given. And so, if we're looking for speed, and they give us the distance is equal to 225 miles, and the time is equal to 5 hours. So for this problem, I would use the speed formula. So it gives me S is equal to distance 225 over time 5 hours. So all we really have here is a rate. We're just always trying to find the rate. We're either trying to speed rate or we're trying to find the time rate. Okay? So then I just simply divide 5 into 225. 5 goes into 22 how many times? 4 times. 20, remainder 2. Bring down my 5. 5 into 25. 5 times. 25, remainder 0. So, the speed then is 45 miles per hour. Must have the label. And it must be correct. Okay. Yes, Brandon.
So, when you say miles per hour, can you do M/H?
Yeah, you can, but the acceptable one is MPH. But yes, you could do M/H. All right, let's see here. Do this one on your own. S equals 10 miles per hour. D equal 120 miles. T equal blank. Staley, have you got it? What'd you get? 12 hours. That is correct. Okay, so we're going to use our time formula, which is time is equal to distance over rate, or speed. Speed and rate are the same thing. Okay, 120 over 10. So we simply just divide it. 10 goes into 120. 10 goes into 12 one time, be 10, remainder 2. 10 into 20 goes 2 times, be 20, remainder 0. So T is equal to 12 hours. Okay, only be 3 or 4 of those on the test. All right. Last thing, 9.4. Or excuse me, 16.4. 16.4, proportions. Okay. 7 over m is equal to 2 over 4. Now, we just came off of doing these. What do I do to solve that proportion? What do we do? Emma? No. Good guess, but it has an equal sign instead of a time sign. So we can't do the Jimmy Neutron. So we got to do what, Michael? No, that would be Jimmy Neutron. Can't cross cancel. Brandon? Cross multiply. Had half of it right. Y'all are saying cross, but no, we cross multiply. So we take m times 2 and 4 times m. So that would be 2 times m is equal to 7 times 4. Okay, and that gives me 2m equal 28. Now, how do I solve this equation? Now we just have an equation. How do we solve this equation for m? What do we do? Xavier? You divide by what? Yeah, we divide 2 into both sides. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Remember, this can also look like this. Okay, those are the same way to express it. Now, the 2's cancel out on the left side, just like they do in this problem. And so that just leaves me with 2 into 28. 2 goes into 28 how many times? 14 times. So 14 would be your answer. So do this one on your own. 27 over 18 equals 6 over P. Give you a minute or so to do that. All right. Someone have an answer? Okay. Maya? Yes. P equal 4. Okay. Here's what we have. We have 18 times 6 is equal to P times 27, which 27 times P is the same thing because of the commutative property of multiplication. Now, that gives us 27P is equal to 108. Okay? To solve that, we simply divide by 27 to both sides. that cross cancels. P is equal to 27 goes into 108 4 times. That would be 108, remainder 0. So P is equal to 4. Okay, remember, you're cross multiplying, not cross canceling. Okay. Any questions? That's exactly what will be on the test tomorrow. Okay, there's about 24 questions on the test. Emma?
On 16.2, whenever you're doing the X books and then they milestones and stuff like that, or I don't know.
Right here?
Yes, well, on one of them you multiply them, and then on the second one you divide.
Right. The reason, the two differences here, okay, the differences were this. In the top problem, I'm going from the larger ratio, 9/1, or excuse me, the smaller ratio, 9/1, to a larger ratio. In other words, this was the ratio that was completed right here, okay? And when I look at the 5, 5 is greater than 1. So I had to ask myself, okay, what do you do to 1 to have to go up or increase it to 5? You either have to add or you have to multiply. Okay, in this particular case, when you're dealing with proportions, you're going to multiply. It's just like an equivalent fraction. If I'm going to take 3/4 and make it over 100, then what I do to 4 to make it 100? I multiply it, okay? The bottom fraction here we had the large ratio, and we were going to a smaller ratio, okay? And so therefore, 8 going to 1, I had to reduce it, make it smaller. So to do that, you either subtract or you divide. And when you're dealing with the equivalent ratios or equivalent fractions, and you're going to divide to get there. And that's why I did two separate things on each one. Realistically, these are just really proportions. In other words, now that you've had 16.4, you could do the same thing here that we just did. You could cross multiply and get 1 times 64 and then get 8 times x. And then you would, to solve it, you would divide by 8. That's 64. Divide that by 8. And so basically you see we did the same thing here as we did down here. Okay, and that's how proportions work. Good question. Any other questions? Any other questions? Brandon? No questions? All right. Okay, your test is tomorrow. We got about 2 minutes left in class. You can use that time wisely for whatever you feel you